am Divya Sharma and you're watching India Ahead, and today we are going to be talking about crypto. Now, crypto is spoken about with warnings about the risks stemming from irrational excitement among the investors and the lack of regulation, of course. And crypto markets have been seeing several bankruptcies, sending shockwaves through the entire crypto universe, including stablecoins and decentralized finance as well. The crash of Terra USD happened, then the world's third largest stablecoin, and lastly the bankruptcy of the leading crypto exchange FTX, and 130 affiliated companies happened. Now somebody likened it to bubbles that are bursting back to back. So today let us discuss this with our esteemed panel of Meghna Bal, who's a fellow at SR Center and a crypto expert as well, and Stephen Inamikal, who's a creator of Mahadao. Welcome so much, both of you.
Thanks
Okay, now to start with, tell me, is it even possible to build a trustless but stable financial system based on technology? Like it is precisely the absence of regulation and public scrutiny, that has blinded investors to the risks involved, leading to the risk and leading to the rise and the subsequent fall of the crypto assets.
Yeah, so it's essentially quite the failures you've seen in the last couple of months is a failure of centralization. So it's not a failure of the technology. And so the crypto technology, the blockchain technology, which promotes decentralization, is quite strong. So what you've seen with the fall of FTX and the other exchanges and the other clients and people that are over leveraged on crypto assets is the failure of centralization, which is the very problem that crypto is trying to solve. So essentially, it is very much possible, and the technology is just, in the early stages still.
Okay.
And we are seeing a lot more people adopt the decentralized aspect of the technology. So I think pretty much, this is more like a cleansing of all the centralized actors towards more decentralized way.
All right, Meghna, your views on the same?
I'm a lawyer and I'm a firm believer in regulation,
Yeah.
particularly where there are prudential risks involved. And I also believe that technology, while it should be encouraged and innovation should be encouraged, when there is an element of finance involved,
Yeah.
technology and the CEOs and the entities running any kind of, financial tech should be guided by regulation, and regulation is important to provide those guardrails. And a lot of the um, adverse incidents that have taken place in this ecosystem have it's not, I wouldn't say it's a function of centralization so much as the absence of regulation.
Okay.
So that would be my take on it.
All right. Okay, Stephen, now if you could answer this. Now, despite consuming a vast amount of human, financial, and technological resources, the unbacked crypto assets do not really perform any socially or economically useful function, as of now, we can say that. And they aren't also largely beneficial to the society. What do you think on that?
I mean, it's a given, it's a known fact that a lot of the space is diluted with with currencies or crypto coins that don't really do much than just speculation. But there is a small percentage of cryptocurrencies, like take for example the biggest one, Bitcoin itself, which is being used in countries, in high inflation countries like for example Venezuela, where they don't have an alternate means of their own currency itself. The Venezuelan bolivar is failing, and so Bitcoin in these countries has a use case there. But it's not seen, number one, in countries like India where the inflation is not crazy high.
Okay.
But at the same time, the space is diluted with a lot of unnecessary distractions, I guess you would say. So amongst the entire ecosystem, there is still that the silver line of cryptocurrencies that do actually solve innovative problems.
Yeah, we can say that, and both of you are, in no uncertain terms, front runners of the crypto race, if we can call it. Meghna, can I request you to enlist the downside of creating and using cryptocurrencies?
I'm not going to talk about. I just actually want to
Okay.
address your earlier question because I
Alright.
think there's more to, I mean, I think we should consider this ecosystem as an ecosystem and not as the kind of sum of its parts. And what this ecosystem has done is that it has successfully productized finance. And the greatest evidence of that, I think, is the rapid on ramping of investors that crypto has seen as opposed to traditional finance. It's taken us about 30 years to get, uh, close to 30 million finance in, I mean, investors in the stock market, but crypto managed to reach close to that number. Since I'm not aware of what the official numbers are, there's quite a few.
But Meghna, to interrupt you here, also, the timing of crypto is such that in today's date and age, now digital media is in every household. Just even if you just talk about India, every small village, digital media is there, and there are so many avenues to reach out there in the market on the ground, which was not available earlier. So I think probably crypto is just better timed in today's times from that
I
perspective.
mean, yes and no. Like, you still need people to be creating products and to be solving for difficult problems like on-ramping, particularly if you're doing KYC and AML, which a lot of centralized exchanges in India are.
Okay.
And just to use your argument, the technology exists, but we don't see traditional finance moving towards that kind of innovation at all. So I think that it's unfair to say that because the technology exists, the windfalls were automatic. It still, I think, took a considerable amount of energy and entrepreneurial kind of activity towards achieving this, and I don't think it's a small feat.
No, it is definitely not small, and with the world players completely out there doing that. Going back to Stephen, would you want to talk about how it is being detrimental, creating and using cryptocurrencies in today's environment?
Well, clearly there are a lot of there are a lot of scams. There are a lot of people defrauding the retail average investor, and a lot of people that come into the space, they end up buying the top and losing money as a market cycle
Yeah.
reverses. So yes, there are a lot of it does sound that it's a good idea for bringing in regulations, but also to keep in mind that it's mainly distractions that's the reason why a lot of these with all these alternative altcoins, as you would say, that cause people to lose money, because these are basically cryptocurrencies that have been made in the bedroom of some kid, and so essentially I think investing into the real legitimate projects of the legitimate cryptocurrencies can be a good idea, but essentially it's more of a weeding out of the bad players that will help create a better and more secure space. So,
True
yeah.
that, and when you say bedroom of some kid, not just bedroom of some kid, but also probably the backyard of a criminal, of a terrorist, and the amount of environmental damage also that we need to remember, and of course also it is being used to evade taxes as well. So it is, I think, where Meghna pointed out that the number of people and the amount of brains being put in here, there is no end to it right now, and there's a lot that is that we can still look forward to in the coming times. Meghna, while India is in the middle of banning online games in a few states already, it is being done. Because they're leading to gambling. And what is your view on crypto? Don't you think putting money in crypto is also primarily gambling and not really investing?
No, because I think you're kind of taking away from the agency of the investor. And I would say that regulation plays a strong role in kind of enabling that agency further by creating mandates to ensure there's transparency and disclosure, by creating a mandate to ensure that users are sensitized. And even as the other speaker said, whitelisting is something that could be particularly useful to ensure that so-called coins that are created in people's bedrooms don't make their way to exchanges. So all these things are solvable through regulation. And yeah, so I don't think that, it's kind of reductive to look at it as mere gambling or speculation.
See, the point at the end of the day, Meghna, when we talk about gambling also is simply that people who are not aware of the details about, this particular technology. So, of course, it is, of course, widespread now. But then what is the percentage of people who have an understanding before they're investing is probably what makes it more of a gambling than investment. Stephen,
I
would you
mean,
like to? Yeah.
the same argument could be
Okay.
made for any kind of investment, right?
Yeah,
What is your
would
level
agree.
of it's I don't I think that's a bit of a bogey argument. The problem here is that there's no regulation. And the problem here is that there is no regulator, there is no supervisory authority, there is no supervision. So
Absolutely.
let's not look at it from the side of that, oh, there are all these risks, so we should ban. Bans don't work. India's had plenty of experience with bans that haven't worked in the past, including, the ban on import of gold and things like that. They don't work. And just to give you an example of what deterrents like the TDS can result in, our
Okay.
center just came out with a study that has shown that after the TDS was brought in, there has been an offshoring of liquidity and trading volumes to the tune of something
Absolutely.
like 32,000 crores from domestic exchanges to foreign ones. So all it has really led to is the movement of, capital flight,
Yeah.
and more blind spots for regulatory agencies because now no, the activity has kind of come down in the country. So I don't think that, tax-based deterrents work. I think there is need for regulation. I think that entrepreneurs in this country should be encouraged and not discouraged and forced to go to countries where there is regulation. Like most of them are going to either Dubai or Singapore, and Singapore has pretty
True.
stringent regulations.
Yeah.
But they're going there because regulation also affords you a modicum of certainty as an entrepreneur. So I think that is probably a better way to think about it.
Absolutely. Regulation is definitely a must at this point in time, and especially in India. Also now, we heard Madonna, Snoop Dogg, etc. They're among the couple of celebrities who have been named in the board Ape Yacht Club lawsuit. Now we know crypto started with a big buzz across from social media to articles and leading publications to celebrities endorsing it. Do you think a narrative was carefully built to blow up the space and attract unsuspecting common people as well?
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of the celebrities, Kim Kardashian, Snoop Dogg, a lot
Yeah.
of the high-end celebrities have promoted cryptocurrencies in the past, and I think that there's some conclusion that a lot of these celebrities did not disclose that they had holdings or they were given free NFTs or free crypto as part of the deal.
Yeah.
And that's really the bigger issue, is that they did not disclose the fact that they had held or had a deal with the project or the team before they decided to promote the currency or the project, right? And so essentially, it's still an awareness tactic. Even today in traditional finance, people use celebrities to promote their brand and so on. So you're seeing the same thing in crypto, but because of the financial nature and the tradability of it, for example, the US SEC is having issues with the fact that celebrities did not disclose
Yeah.
that they were, they held or had a special deal before they promoted the currencies.
Absolutely. Okay, now let's talk about stable coins and their appeal to users. Stable coins have been very conveniently named so, but with the recent crypto crash, can we say that without sound regulation, stable coins aren't really stable?
So this is something I can add here, because we ourselves, Mahadao is a creator of another stablecoin called as Arc. And the reason why we know the space really well is because stablecoins, most of the stablecoins that have failed were a failure of the underlying technology that provided us stability. In the case of Terra Luna, the underlying mechanism failed. It was not a matter of the regulation. I
Okay.
guess regulation, you can say, is just a way of protecting the investor. But many investors that invested, for example, into Terra Luna invested into a failed model. And when that model collapsed, the entire ecosystem kind of crumbled down. So as long as the model behind the stablecoin is solid, and there have been many examples of that in the crypto sphere. Of course, the ones that break are the ones that are most talked about.
Yeah.
As long as the model is sound, I think the stablecoin itself will have its backing. So yeah.
Right. So I do believe we are still probably in the nascent stages, and there's a lot that all of us need to learn and find out. Meanwhile, coming to our last question, which I'll direct to both of you, we do understand that in spite of so much having transpired, and we have been seeing this, for the last couple of years, there is nothing stable as far as cryptocurrency goes. And this still seems to be, the beginning in the crypto universe. Now, to sum up, what in your views should be the way forward? Meghna.
Regulation, both global and domestic.
Yeah.
That is the only real way to stability. And just on stable coins, I mean, there's been multiple recommendations, and I think that it's going to move to a standard. I don't think that stable coins will be allowed to exist without hard collateralization. And that is going to come in the EU, and it's likely to come in the US as well.
Yeah.
So any form of like hardcore financial engineering where the stability of the value of the coin is based on transactions, I don't think that's going to be allowed. I mean, I don't think purely algorithmic stablecoins are going to be allowed permitted to remain. So yeah, that is another thing just on stablecoins.
Right, and domestic and of course global regulation, I think, on the whole, because it doesn't really remain domestic, because the whole idea of having a crypto coin is that it is not just domestic. Stephen, what about you on the same?
Yeah, I mean, I think regulations is good for protecting investors, especially the normie or the retail investors that don't have much of an idea of the asset and want to enter in, and make sure that they are not scammed or what we call rug pulled, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, I think the space is cyclical, so there are ups and downs, and obviously we are in the downside. It's a bear market, probably the worst bear market in the last 4 or 5 cycles in crypto. But it seems to be cyclical, right? And so in terms of stability, it'll always go up and down. I don't think there can be an argument that can say that, hey, crypto is going to stay stable. But as far as regulations is concerned, it's definitely something that can be encouraged to protect the investors, although not to an extreme measure where the cryptocurrency itself becomes unusable or inaccessible by the common man. So sort of a fine line in not too much regulations and too less regulations. So yeah.
Any tips for the common man, for the retail investor?
I mean, so essentially, there's a lot of material online. So crypto is one of those spaces where the amount of content on the assets themselves is enormous. So self-research and self-custody of your own cryptocurrencies is probably the best exercise and the most interesting differentiator between crypto and the other asset classes like stock, equities, or forex, right? So the amount of content and the amount of self-custody that you can do, you can absorb and do is quite high in crypto. So yeah.
Absolutely. So I think this will continue, and like how FTX happened, I am sure that now we are just ready for more such things to happen. I think previously nobody knew. There was a lot of excitement as far as this space went. And everybody young, older people probably maybe not, they were still wanting to stick to FDs, and that is still a challenge for you guys to probably educate them and put their money there. Also, I also heard in one of the conversations that there was a talk of wanting to, do away with the smaller currencies. Sorry, I'm just extending this here, and replace even gold with crypto. So, apart from probably the dollar and a couple of bigger currencies, I heard this as well. So, but do you also have a view on this?
I mean, it sounds speculative. So gold is $1 trillion asset. Bitcoin is, kind of within the $1 trillion, less than $1 trillion now in the bear market. There has been discussions because gold is, obviously physical and hard to move. It can be frozen by other countries, like how the Bank of England froze the gold reserves of the Venezuelan government, for example, right? They cannot do that with Bitcoin. So
Yeah.
those are like some advantages of Bitcoin over gold. But Bitcoin is still small. I would say the entire crypto industry combined has less market valuation than gold. So there's still a long way for something like that to happen.
So we come to the conclusion that regulations are an absolute must, and as Meghna just said, not just within the country but also globally. So thanks so much, Meghna and Stephen, for joining us today. And now we will go to our next guest, who among other things is an entrepreneur, investor and a crypto expert as well. Welcome to the show, Srijan Bharadwaj. You're welcome again, Srijan.
Yeah, hi.
Hi. So now, Srijan, crypto has become like, the world of bad news, while people haven't really recovered from one, another scandal is thrown on their face. In such a volatile space where, proper regulations are not yet in place and majority people don't really understand the threats that come with the territory, do you think that crypto will survive, and why?
Yeah, I think crypto will survive for sure. And it's true that a lot of scandals are taking place and a lot of bad events are taking place, but that is true for any other industry as such. It's just that with crypto, it's far more transparent because that was the intended goal from day one. And secondly, that the space is really new. And thirdly, we have internet. So if one bad thing happens here, the entire world gets to know about it in just a few seconds, which was not the case 50 years, 60 years, 70 years back. When in disrupting industries, something bad would happen, people would get to know about it if a lot later. So I think that is why bad news spreads really fast. But yeah, overall, crypto is perfectly going the way it should because it's a very new technology. If we talk about the main crypto market, which a lot of people think from Bitcoin, it's almost 16 years old in 2024. And according to that, it's going perfectly fine because technologies have a cycle. They have a 16-year cycle, a 4-year cycle, and even a 40-year cycle. And according to that, it's going completely fine.
So you are saying that everything is going absolutely fine, Srijan. I am sure, and I know it for a fact, that you have been a very keen investor in the crypto markets, and you must have also lost. Were you prepared to lose such big amounts of monies, which people across have been losing, while it was showcased to be somewhere where you'll be making a lot of money?
100%. And I have lost money in crypto, and so have a lot of people. And the best lesson that I learned from it was that follow the basic advice, which is only invest money that you can afford to lose. If you cannot afford to lose that money, if you cannot take that money and burn it right now, you should not invest it into crypto. So that is the first thing. And secondly, for the people who are losing money and who are here as a tourist, it's a really good opportunity to take a lesson and then decide whether you want to continue your travel or whether you actually want to be a participant in this space. Because every person in crypto, including myself, comes because of money, and we come as a tourist. But then all of us lose money and some of us decide to stay back. And then in the next run, we end up making our money back, which happened with me and which happens with almost everyone else. So this is a question that people should ask themselves, whether they are looking to stay right now and learn about the crypto market, or were they just here sightseeing?
Okay, Srijan, that's a very interesting take, that we should behave as tourists in the crypto market. Srijan, tell us what makes crypto different and how is it more relevant in today's age?
So I would say the biggest way it's different is that the cross-country transfer, and it's entirely borderless, it's permissionless. So today, if you have to make a transfer from India to Australia, you start the transfer tomorrow because it's Friday, right? And then the bank will require some documents. So you'll go to the bank, you start the process on Monday, and by Tuesday or Wednesday, you'll have money in Australia. Now, if I have to do it via crypto, I can book a flight right now to Australia. I can go and I can do the transaction there in a second, or I can even do it via my home. So the cross-country transfers, which are borderless and permissionless, is one of the biggest features and benefits of crypto, because of which a lot of people use it. And second is that a lot of people have lost the entire belief in the fiat currencies that we have. And a lot of people see it as an alternative payment method. Because again, when you are paying through credit card, debit card, PayPal, Western Union, every single person or every single entity takes a certain percentage in between as their own commission or as their own cut. And with crypto, the fees is very less. It's hardly a few dollars or a few cents at max. So people love it.
Okay, Srijan, another buzzword most noteworthy in its use with cryptocurrencies currently is blockchain. Now, let's quickly touch
Yeah.
upon as to why are they so unique.
So blockchain is not new. To
Yeah.
be honest, blockchain has been here
Absolutely.
since a few decades. It's just that people don't understand the entire picture. So people think Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency which was built on blockchain, which is not the case. Bitcoin was one of the first or the first successful cryptocurrency at scale. Even before Bitcoin, a few other cryptocurrencies were built. And to create a cryptocurrency, you use technology called blockchain,
Okay.
which basically is distributed ledger system. So instead of you having the records of your transaction, everyone has the records of your transaction and you have the records of everyone else's transaction. So even if one person goes offline, everyone else has the same records and the data can be cross-checked and verified. This
Yeah.
is the blockchain technology in a nutshell. A lot of people have been using it. In fact, a lot of banks have now been using it. And the use cases go into almost every industry that we can think of, where we require regulations, where we require transparency, where we require fast speed and a distributed ledger.
Right, absolutely. Srijan, also let's, since we are on this, topic of technology, another new thing that has come up, of course, and which was well expected is Web 3.0.
Right.
And especially with the recent launch of 5G in India, this becomes a very exciting space to look forward to. But also it's very important to note that it has a lot of fuzziness around it, which is actually going to be for quite some time. Why don't you share your views with our viewers as to what your understanding of Web 3.0 is?
So I think Web 3.0 is great, and you are right that it has a lot of buzz around it. I think India particularly is extremely well placed for the Web 3.0 revolution because we have had Geo come just a few years back. And before Geo, internet was a luxury for most of the people in India, for most of the middle class. But now, India being a service-based industry throughout, and mostly in IT, a lot of people of my age or the millennials or Gen Z, they have realized that they can do or they can make a career in Web 3.0, and they can work from home, they can work remotely, and they can use their skill set and apply for a US-based MNC just from the comfort of their home. They don't have to go to the US or do the job from there. They can do it from home. And again, the industries that are going to be using Web 3.0 are diverse. So what we are seeing is convergence of two different industries like this. So for example, if you are into healthcare and say your company tomorrow decides that it wants to go to Web 3.0 or it wants to launch a crypto token, say for example, or it wants to use blockchain. Now people who knew about blockchain and also had an okay understanding of health can also apply for these jobs, because right now the Web 3.0 companies are looking for generalists who have at least one specialization, which in India, as you know, almost everyone is.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a excellent workforce. So specifically, if we talk about it, how can a common person take advantage of the Web 3.0 space?
I would say that's a really good question. The first thing that a person should ask is whether they really want to take advantage of it or not.
Okay.
Because a lot of people get carried away because of FOMO and because of everyone is doing this, so I should do it as well syndrome. But the good question that you should ask yourself is, what I'm doing right now, is it really needed in Web 3.0 at this particular moment? Because the technology is so new that most of the builders and most of the developers are the ones who are actually building all the stuff right now. And to support these builders and developers and to facilitate them, we have other staff and other roles and responsibilities, because it's a tech-based game. You have to understand that the people who are in tech or who are looking forward to get into tech are the ones who are going to be mostly benefited. So if you are into coding, if you are a UI UX developer, if you are into making applications or web-based, mobile-based applications, you have the best chance to get into Web 3.0. And then all the regular services that we have, the financial services, the legal services, the taxation services, the consulting services are also going to go into Web 3.0.
Absolutely.
So yeah, if you have expertise of those services, you can start learning about crypto, blockchain, Web 3.0, and then you can also expand your service domain and you can offer services around Web 3.0, which I see a lot of young lawyers and young chartered accountants already doing.
I was just coming to that with the amount of lawsuits that are happening after the crypto crashes across the world. I
Yeah.
think lawyers is definitely one space to look into as far as the future is concerned in Web 3.0 as well. Please continue.
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of lawsuits are being filed, and the lawsuits are being filed against celebrities, is
Yeah.
what we are seeing, because the celebrities have promoted coins or NFTs knowingly or unknowingly that they were not supposed to, or that entirely tanked. So the entire picture right now is that a lot of institutions, a lot of governments want to get into crypto because it has certain unique use cases
Right,
which
right.
can benefit the institutions and which can benefit the governments. But they cannot enter a space that is extremely
Okay.
volatile.
Srijan,
That
I will just because of lack of time right now, I'll quickly come to the last question. What are the risks that come along with the Web 3.0? In brief, if you could tell us.
Yeah, sure. So if you are investing your time, effort, and money, the
Yeah.
biggest risk is that you can lose it in case your company goes bankrupt or in case your company turns out to be a fraud.
Yeah.
The second risk is that if you are just starting out in your career and you're betting high on this space, and again, your expectations don't meet the reality,
Yeah.
then you will have to transition into another space. So what I would recommend is start preparing for Web 3.0 as a side hustle right now if you are more of a on the conservative side. And lastly, it's if you're investing your money and investing more than what you can afford to lose, you can
Yeah.
definitely lose all of it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Srijan, for having this chat with us today. And it is extremely important now. We know that there is a lot to look forward to as far as this space of technology is concerned. And you definitely keep on watching India Ahead for more on the tech space. So that was all for today. The discussion shall continue here. You keep watching India Ahead.